There's a really interesting segment from the weekend where conservative superhero Ben Shapiro was interviewed by the BBC's Andrew Neil. And Ben Shapiro cut the interview short over what he perceived to be the liberal bias of the interviewer. And he's now ended up apologizing it. And the most interesting thing about all of this to me is that it happened because Ben Shapiro abandoned some of his supposedly most important principles. He's against identity politics, and he's for facts over feelings. And in short, Ben Shapiro made a call, the wrong call, about the identity of the interviewer as a lefty, which Andrew Neil is not. And that identity-based decision that Ben Shapiro made was based not on the facts, but on Ben Shapiro's feelings about the interviewer, which is the opposite of Ben's facts over feelings mantra. So let's get right to it. This is Andrew Neil, who was in the Conservative Club in college. He worked for the British Conservative Party. He was a correspondent for the conservative publication, The Economist. And the point is, there is no leftist progressive streak to Andrew Neil by any means. And Andrew Neil asks Ben Shapiro to defend things that Ben has said. He asks simple questions, and Ben can't handle it. He was triggered that he wasn't given a safe space on BBC. So he implodes, ends the interview early. Let's look at one clip first where Ben's feelings sort of get the best of him and he attacks the journalist rather than talking about ideas.
Some of the ideas that are popular in your side of politics would seem to take us back to the Dark Ages, Georgia, new abortion laws, which you are much in favor of, that a woman who miscarries could get 30 years. A Georgian woman who travels to another state for an abortion procedure could get 10 years. These are extreme hard policies.
Well, okay, a couple of things. One, I'm not sure. I mean, frankly, I don't know whether are you an objective journalist or are you an opinion journalist?
I'm a journalist that asks questions.
Okay, so you're a supposedly objective journalist calling policies with which you disagree barbaric and suggesting only one side of the political aisle has ideas. So I just want to point out that I wish you would at least be honest in your own biases.
Mr. Shapiro, I know that broadcasting in America is now so polarized that on one program you only have the left and another one you just have the right. My job is to question those who have strong views and put an alternative to them.
Would you suggest that a late-term abortion is brutal?
I'm not taking a view on this issue. I'm asking you the question.
And eventually Ben has just had enough and can't handle it when his identity argument implodes. He does ad hominems that the interviewer is less than Ben because Ben hasn't even heard of the interviewer. That's a form of personal attack, an ad hominem. And it really gets ugly and, more importantly, very, very stupid.
Why is it that a bill banning abortions after a woman has been pregnant for 6 weeks is not a return to the Dark Ages? What's your answer?
My answer is something called science. Human life exists at conception. It ought to be protected. Now, back to my question to you. You purport to be an objective journalist. BBC purports to be an objective down-the-middle network. It obviously is not. It never has been. And you as a journalist are proceeding to call one side of the political aisle ignorant, barbaric, and sending us back to the Dark Ages. Why don't you just say that you're on the left? Is this so hard for you? Why can't you just be honest?
Mr.
Seriously,
Shapiro,
it's a serious question.
Mr. Shapiro, if you only knew how ridiculous that statement is, you wouldn't have said it. I just asked you a question.
And I asked you a question. You failed to answer a single one of mine. Frankly, I find this whole thing a waste of time. If you want to read the book and critique the book, why don't you read and critique the book? If you want to critique me, you can think whatever you want of me.
Why don't you just try and answer the questions?
I don't frankly give a damn what you think of me since I've never heard of you.
And I've never heard of you until I briefed myself for this. But that's not the issue. You have a new book out. Then why the hell are you interviewing me, sir? It's an interesting book. But my point is, your book claims that society...
Well, it'd be nice if you would quote it from time to time.
Your book is... Well, actually, I've done so several times, and I'm about to do so again, if you would let me just finish the question. Your book claims that society is turning its back on Judeo-Christian values.
Yeah,
what are those values? What are the values it's turning its back on?
I'm not inclined to continue an interview with a person as badly motivated as you as an interviewer. So I think we're done here. I appreciate your time, sir.
All right. Well, thank you for your time and for showing that anger is not part of American political discourse. Now, Mr. Shapiro, we'll say goodbye.
So this didn't go well. Shapiro ended up apologizing to Andrew Neil and saying that he misinterpreted Neil's antagonism as political leftism. And this is a case study in why identity arguments and letting your feelings override the facts are bad ideas which normally Ben Shapiro tells us is what we should be paying attention to, right? There's an identity argument here. Ben ended the interview over the perceived political identity of the interviewer, not the ideas, not the questions or the issues being brought up. It's sort of identity politics in reverse. Ben Shapiro is against the type of identity politics that says, my opinion is more valid or particularly valid because of my identity. And I agree that when the identity is used as a cudgel in that way, it's very bad. And I've spoken out against it. But in this case, Ben's taking the identity politics position of Andrew Neil's opinion is invalid because I perceive him to be a liberal. Of course, Neil is not a liberal. He also wasn't taking a position. He was just interviewing Ben about things that he has said. It was a decision that Ben made based on his feelings and not on the facts. Ben felt that hard questions about his positions were leftist. They weren't. Andrew Neil has a life of conservative political credentials. Ben's being interviewed about the opinions that he has espoused and writes about in his book. So why does he start asking the interviewer for his opinions? The interviewer is interviewing Ben, asking what does Ben believe? And it is a very beta move when you start telling the interviewer to give you their opinion when you're unable to defend the things that you've said during your life. But then the real missed point here is that Ben tweeted something about being destroyed by Andrew Neil or something like that. This wasn't a debate, right? Neil was playing the role of a journalist. Neil is personally conservative, but he identified problematic statements that Ben Shapiro has made, and he asked questions about them. And Ben lost what was not actually a debate because he just jumped in, assumed that the interviewer had left-wing bias, and then, I guess Ben's used to getting the kid glove safe space treatment by American conservative media outlets. And what Neil did was, yes, he, quote, destroyed Ben, but he destroyed him without really do anything. He just asked him to defend his claims, and Ben was unable to. His feelings overrode the facts. Identity ended up with Ben saying, I'm out of here. And it is an extraordinarily fascinating case study in how, in many of these cases, the principles that these right-wingers claim to espouse and hold up as the most important thing grow out the window, get thrown out the window. No identity politics. Well, you ended the interview over the perceived identity of the interviewer. Feelings don't care about the facts. Well, facts don't care about the feelings, rather. In this particular case, Ben ignoring the facts and letting his feelings dictate how he behaved during that interview, which was, by the way, extraordinarily embarrassing. Very funny. I wish they would just live up to the principles that they espouse. That's all I'm asking for. Let us know your thoughts about this. We'll be posting about it on our Instagram page, @David Pakman Show. Quick break, back after this.